How to catch up on sleep. Just like your bank account can develop a deficit of funds, your body can develop a deficit of sleep. To operate at full capacity, we need to sleep a lot, and we need to sleep well. In fact, chronic under-sleeping has been linked to trouble concentrating, obesity, heart disease, and more. But sometimes our schedules doesn't allow for the amount of sleep we'd like. Fortunately, improving the quality of our sleep is another great way to reduce our sleep deficit. These are strategies for getting more sleep and ensuring the sleep we do get is as restful and refreshing as possible. Part 1: Sleeping more often. 1. Keep track of the amount you sleep. In order to catch up on sleep, we need to know how much we've lost. Sleep debt is a real thing, and it's just as likely to develop over an extended period of minor sleep deprivation as it is from one or two all-nighters. If you can, take note of how much you sleep per night for 2 weeks, as that should paint a fairly accurate portrait of your sleep debt and provide a basis for you to adjust your routine. 2. Assume that you should be getting 8 hours of sleep per night. 8 hours is the optimal amount of sleep for the average person, and while your actual needs may deviate slightly from the norm, it's best to be safe and aim for 8 hours or more. 3. Calculate how much you're really sleeping per night. On average, Americans sleep 6.8 hours per night during the week, and 7.4 hours per night on the weekends, which averages out to 6.9 hours total per night. That means in 1 week, a typical American adult accumulates 7.7 hours of sleep debt. How much do you accumulate? 4. Think about your strategy for catching up on sleep. It's common that people deprive themselves of sleep during the week, and then try to make it up on the weekends. But is that enough? If you sleep 6 hours per night Sunday, Thursday, then catch up on the weekends by sleeping 11 hours per night, you're still coming up 4 hours short every week. That's 200 plus hours of sleep debt every year. 5. Check your weekly schedule for sleep openings. In a perfect world, we would simply allocate an extra hour or 2 every day for sleep, but that's not always possible. However, you might be able to find time sporadically. If your schedule requires that you sleep 6 hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday, try to sleep 8 hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It might not seem like much, but those few extra hours will supplement your elongated weekend sleeps and greatly reduce your debt. 6. Eliminate long naps. Generally speaking, if you're napping for over an hour, you're better off not napping at all. There are exceptions to this, e.g. shift workers who simply have no other option. But if you're planning on sleeping that night, daytime naps are counterproductive. In the typical nap, you spend very little time, if any, in a state of REM sleep. REM sleep is the most regenerative and refreshing type of sleep, and without it your nap does nothing to work off your sleep debt, not to mention that it will make it more difficult to fall asleep for the night. Part 2: Sleeping better. 1. Understand sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is a way of measuring the quality of your sleep. Just like personal hygiene, you can improve it by tweaking your daily habits. While most of the behaviors pertinent to sleep hygiene are things we do right before bed, the process begins as soon as we wake up in the morning. All of the following steps contribute to achieving the most hygienic sleep possible. 2. Don't drink alcohol before bed. While some people believe alcohol helps them sleep, the truth is just the opposite. Alcohol negatively affects sleep quality in 2 ways. It reduces the quantity of REM sleep for the first several hours of sleep, which causes a massive decrease in sleep quality. When it wears off, 4-6 hours after sleep begins, it creates a stimulating effect in the sleeper, which can make him or her wake up and have trouble falling back asleep. 3. Avoid caffeine before bed. Most people know not to drink coffee before going to sleep, but it's important to avoid caffeine in any form. Other caffeinated substances to avoid before bed include chocolate, non-cola sodas, weight loss pills, pain relievers, decaf coffee. 4. Avoid large meals and dietary changes before bed. Spicy foods, in particular, are problematic before bed, but it's not a good idea to eat any large meal before going to sleep. The digestive process can upset your body's natural sleep sequences and reduce the quality of your sleep. 5. Avoid exercise immediately before bed. For the most part, exercise actually improves your quality of sleep. However, exercise before bed can have a stimulating effect and limit your ability to fall asleep. It should be noted, though, that some experts believe calmer forms of exercise, like yoga, improve sleep hygiene, regardless of when the exercise is performed. 6. Don't use your bed for anything besides sleep. Ideally, we subconsciously associate our beds with sleep, and our bodies begin to ready themselves for sleep as soon as we get into bed. These associations can be disrupted if you fall into the habit of reading, working, or watching TV in bed, and you may have a harder time falling asleep at night. 7. Avoid television and other mental stimulants before bed. Television is the most common mental stimulant in which people engage before trying to fall asleep, but it's not the only one. While some experts suggest reading before bed, others argue that it can have the same stimulating effects as television or work. 8. Establish a consistent and soothing sleeping environment. The idea is to get your body used to certain sleeping conditions, so that your body will naturally ready itself for sleep when exposed to those conditions. Consider all of the following. Use your favorite bedding. Adjust the room to your preferred temperature, and sleep that way every night. Black out as much noise and light as possible. Tips. Check any prescription medications you take for side effects regarding sleeping. Warnings. If you're thinking of using medicine, see your doctor. Things. Relaxing bed.